It's official. We are officially live. This is episode 1 of the Build a FU Brand podcast. My name is Thaddeus Levin. I'm going to be the one hanging out with you over these coming weeks and months and years. And who knows where this podcast is going to go? Who knows where it's going to evolve into? But here we are kicking things off live, episode 1. All right. So thank you for taking a second to actually watch this or listen to this, whether you started at episode 100 and you're just going back to see where it all began, or this is your very first episode and you're starting from scratch with me. All right. So I just want to take a second to say thank you and show my great appreciation for each and every single one of you tuning in, whether this is your first or your 100 or your 101th episode that you're tuning in for. So as we kick this thing off, we're going to establish a few things over the next few minutes together. And don't worry, these aren't going to be Joe Rogan style where it's going to take up hours of your time. We're going to keep these very short, to the point, hyper-focused, because I believe that's the quickest way for you to start implementing stuff that you consume rather than just consume. It's about consume and implement, make adjustments, implement, adjust. And that's why I wanted to keep these a little bit more on the brief side. So not only could you consume and get hyper-focused, actionable steps around a single topic, but also so you can go out there and deploy and implement that information no matter where you are on your online journey or even your offline journey, because this isn't just for online or affiliates or coaches or consultants. This is for anybody who wants to really leverage their personal brand in order to really generate an FU persona. And when I say FU, it's exactly what you think it stands for. That does mean fuck you. But we're not coming from a place of hostility. We're not coming from a place of aggression. We're going to really, here in just 1 second, we're going to establish what an FU brand really is and why it's important. But first, we need to really take a step back. Why should you be listening to me in the first place? Why should you be paying attention to what I have to say? So let me give you a little bit of, don't worry, you're going to get the elevator pitch of my backstory. I'm not going to eat up your entire afternoon telling you all the nooks and crannies of what my journeys look like. But I got my start into the entrepreneur world in 2020. After working in blue-collar jobs my entire life, having zero social media, I decided it was time to start a business. Sounds crazy, right? But what little did I know is that what that would unlock and what that would change. And then over the course of less than 3 years, we are on the verge of crossing 7 figures in revenue generated. I've launched a handful of products, own coaching and consulting services, we've even helped numerous clients both launch their very first digital product, their digital courses, agencies, all kinds of stuff. And we even have a client who's working on a nonprofit. All of this really is stemming from the same thing we're going to be covering inside of this podcast. Same thing that I've been using in order to not only grow my own business, but establish a presence in what I refer to as that FU brand. So just a little bit about what an FU brand is, not what, but what an FU brand is. Why is that important? Why? Well, why do you need one? Okay. Like, what is it and why do you need it? That's something that, most people aren't willing to tell you. They're just like, oh, just go do this thing. And then that's what you got to do. But why should you even worry about it? Why should you build one? Why should you create one? Why should you care? There's going to be super things that I think that everyone should really answer for themselves. But let me explain to you, and you make the decision for yourself. But when it comes to building an FU brand and what an FU brand really is not so much about the aggression that comes behind the words fuck and you. It's not so much about the hostility. It's not so much about that. But it's more about an aura, a presence. Because at its root base, a personal brand is your presence. It's your presence that people remember, that they think about while you're not in the room, their image of you, their perception of you, all that stuff. That's what a personal brand really at its deepest layer is all about. So why build an FU brand? Why build a fuck you brand? Because ultimately what we want to be able to do is build this presence where almost like we're untouchable. Because The more and more you grow online, the more and more you establish your presence as an entrepreneur, there will always be people, competitors, just overall trolls and haters who want to come at you to try to tear you down. A prime example of this, look at Tom Brady, New England Patriots, multiple, like seven Super Bowls or some crazy number like that, outrageous stats. Okay. So, but even just his greatness brought nothing, not nothing, but his greatness brought both praise and hate at the same time. Had his brand, has who he was, been a weaker version of himself, who knows how much that would have affected him? Because you see it even just in sports, and we'll stick with that analogy. You see so many people who get broken down by critics, get broken down by people who want to point a finger at why they're not as good as we thought they were, or their flaws that they have, or their shortcomings that they might have, all that stuff. And you see a lot of these athletes that get torn down in those type of situations. At the time of this recording, there's a quarterback who played for, and again, if you're not a sports person, I'm sorry, I am. That's just part of who I am. You're along for the ride now, so just buckle up. But there's a quarterback named, Trey Lance. Got drafted by the 49ers, first round draft pick, very high draft pick. But, he was recently very chastised in media, really chastised on by the sports analysts of how he wasn't progressing how they thought they should, or is he a bust, or it was a poor draft choice. There was a lot of critics. And naturally, a lot of these people, and especially in the sports analyst world, they get paid for that type of content that they make, those type of very spicy and controversial topics. But the point I'm trying to make is that this poor young man didn't establish himself. He didn't have that fuck you brand. He didn't come in and let his play dictate. It wasn't motivation for him to go out and do better. Instead, it tore him down. It changed his perception of who he was. And when you allow other people to even change the way you view yourself, the repercussions and the collateral damage that happens because of that is so vast. But when you really establish that FU brand, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, no matter what your shortcomings would have been in this most immediate moment or the most recent one, you are untouchable. Not because people can't say things about you, but it's because you have established a presence that is truly untouchable. Just like Tom Brady did when he was with the New England Patriots. The guy started as a 7th round draft pick. You think that anybody was counting on him? He didn't even start at his college. He wasn't even a first string quarterback in college. Went on to be arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play in the NFL. But had he let all of those things of, I didn't start, or I got drafted really low, or, maybe I didn't have the credentials that other people had, if he had let all of that negativity, all those things affect how he showed up, he would have failed. We would have never known his name. He would have just been another person from another team that never quite panned out. But he knew who he was. He knew what he was capable of, and he began to establish his own fuck you brand. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing, but not in the sense of football playing, but in the sense of being able to, whatever your entrepreneur journey looks like, whether you want to be an author, you want to be an influencer on social media, you want to leverage products as an affiliate, you want to create courses, you want to launch masterminds, whatever it is that you want to do, establishing your fuck you brand so you become untouchable is going to be the key that opens up all those doors. And again, it doesn't matter what marketplace you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're e-commerce, you're doing nutrition, you're in the health space, the wealth space, or the relationship space. It does not matter what you want to do with this brand. It's really about establishing it so you can do whatever it is that you want to do, both now and in the future. So, again, why is that important? Why is building a FU brand important? again, when it boils down to being able to monetize social media, be able to grow, be able to build a following, be able to build an audience, be able to build a tribe of true raving fans, your brand is going to be the key that opens up that door as well. It's not so much about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most relatable, the most connectable, the person that people want to be around, that people think about when they're not in the room. Because let's be honest with you, no matter how much money I've made, no matter how many products I've launched, no matter how many courses I've sold, no matter any of that stuff, none of that matters. None of those big juicy results that everyone really bases their entire journey and their entire brand on. None of that matters, because at the moment's notice, all that could change. All that can come crashing down. And I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand, time and time again, even in the short 2, almost 3 years I've been online. I've seen people rise super fast like rocket ships to the moon, only to come crashing down like the Challenger back in the 90s. Okay? So there's going to be a lot more to it than just, hey, I make some money, you should listen to me. Or, hey, I've lost some weight. Or, hey, I've built some relationships. It's more about who you are, who I am, who our audience is, so we can both connect with them, but also be able to be untouchable when it comes time for the people who want to throw mud or tear us down or say that we're doing things in the wrong way. It's all about conviction. It's about being the person that people look to as the leader in your space. And ultimately, that's what we want to be seen as. We want to be seen as the expert. We want to be seen as the authority. We want to be seen as the person that people can count on, can rely on, that can invest their money with, and that they will see the outcomes that they're trying to achieve. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. Now that we've kind of established really what an FU brand is, why it's important, now let's what's to expect? What should you be looking forward to over the next coming weeks, months, even years? So I've decided to make these extremely digestible, extremely consumable, nothing long-winded, nothing over the top. We're not going to be rambling for hours on end, but you can also expect a weekly dose of exactly what's going on and how you can build your FU brand from scratch, from bare bones. We're going to be taking it back as if I was starting over from square one, zero, what I would be doing to establish my FU brand, grow that FU brand, monetize that FU brand, and really explode my business leveraging an FU brand. Everything that's happened, ultimately, if I had to go back and start over from square one. And we're going to be talking about a lot of cool stuff. So without rambling on and taking up any more of your time, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited to see where this podcast goes, and I'm excited for each and every single one of you. If you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to drop a comment, reach out to me. Make sure to post my email address in the comments. And again, I have nothing to sell you right now. I have nothing to sell you on. There's no course for you to buy. There's no nothing for you to buy. Right now, it's all about really establishing what that is. So buckle up, kick back, kick off your shoes, and let's have some fun and really establish to build your FU brand. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode.